All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining tonight. Speaking to the mic, okay. I haven't moderated in a while, so if you don't remember me, I'm Stephanie Nakasone Ramsey from the Office of Recovery's DR office. And we'll get started today. I did ask, I saw Uncle Lawrence just came in. Did you want to be able to do Pule tonight? If not, Uncle Earl has said he is willing. So.
Uncle, you don't even have to stand up. Be comfortable.
Okay, thank you. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day and this evening. And we thank you for this place that you have provided for us. We thank you for bringing us all together safely and healthy. Almighty God, we ask that you bless us with wisdom and knowledge. Bless us with information that we may need to move forward. And bless us, Almighty God. And bless our minds, our body, and our spirit, that we will be all in one and in one mind to move forward and help each other and give us the opportunity to make our lives whole again. Dear God, please bless our county officials and their leadership, that they may have the power and the opportunity to help each and every one of us that is in trouble, and that we can have their guidance and their help to rebuild our lives. It is so important that our lives become alive and not in a place of darkness. God, we ask that you give us the light and the way to receive thy light. Bless us, Almighty God. Bless each and every one here tonight, that we will be safe and healthy. And we ask that as we go through the meeting, that we may fulfill our duties here and to give of our knowledge and wisdom to each other and to help each other. And we ask that you cleanse this place, Almighty God, as we leave. Make it safe, take care of it, clean it, that the students and the faculty will be safe as they use this place. And bring us home all safe and healthy, Almighty God. Bless the way and the roads, that they also be safe and healthy for everyone. We ask this all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Mahalo, Uncle Lawrence. All right. First off, wanted to make a quick announcement. We have Robin and John. Where are you guys again? All right, right back there. They'll hold up their hands. They have these flyers to give out, giving away free furniture. So the furniture's from the Maui Marriott Ocean Club, and they're trying to organize giving away furniture for free for survivors, whoever needs it. So they have a whole list of inventory back here. So if you're interested, go see them after the meeting. Yeah, right back there. And let's see, we'll get to our first slide. As always, we want to remind you to take care of yourself. Mental health resources, numbers there, QR code there, and more numbers and email, website. And especially at this time, we have, we just came from the 2-year anniversary, the fires. I want to thank you all for coming today. And we wanted to show you a quick video that our team put together, our comms team, Mia, she's amazing. She put together an amazing video. Wanted to show you. There's a whole bunch of videos up on the county YouTube that was put together in lead up to the 2-year mark. And I really mahalo Mia and her team for putting these together. So I wanted to show you one of those today.
Two years ago, our community faced one of the most challenging moments in our history. In the face of adversity, Maui revealed its true strength, a strength built on aloha, unity, and resilience. In Lahaina, Kula, and across Maui Nui, we've come together to rebuild lives, heal hearts, and honor the memories of those we've lost. Healing goes beyond the physical. It encompasses emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. As a community bound as one ohana, we remain committed to supporting every individual, providing the care, courage, and compassion needed as we move forward together. As we remember, we also rebuild. As we reflect, we also reimagine. Together, we continue to lift one another, honoring our past and paving way for a brighter future. Together, Maui Nui will continue to heal and continue to rise.
Sorry, it might take a while. And that brings us, obviously, we just wanted to share a few photos from this past Friday for some of the events that were held. The paddle out at Hanako'o'o, beautiful day on the water. I want to mahalo everyone who was able to be there that day. Might take a little bit of time. There you go. And then we moved on to the county building at the noon for the Laha'ola Day of Healing. A lot of dignitaries, Mayor Bisson, Governor Josh Green, and our congressional delegation, Council Member Tamara Paulton, all gave very beautiful speeches. And then we also capped it off with the evening tribute at the Lahaina Civic Center, music, food, and just togetherness on that day. Again, I want to mahalo everyone who was able to attend, everyone who volunteered, our Team Aloha, who came back in force from last year. You'll see those in the yellow shirts there. Many people from around the island who came to volunteer and help out for that event. So mahalo. And that brings us to tonight's agenda. We have U.S. Army Corps of Engineers here to give a status of the debris transfer. We have EPA here for a presentation on the Wahikuli Gravity Sewer Design Project, preliminary placement of lateral connections. Then we also have the state's DCMP here to give some updates, and well as our Ho'okumuho team here to give some updates after the launch of the programs on Monday. And let's see. Oh, coming up, we have just a reminder, next community meeting, September 3rd. We're back on our first Wednesday of the month cadence. And now I'll bring in Mayor Bisson for a few opening remarks.
Mahalo, Stephanie. Aloha mai kākou. Just want to say aloha to our Lahaina Ohana. I'd like to also point out your advisory team members from this side, Kaliko and Uncle Earl. Thank you folks for attending on behalf of the advisory group tonight and for all the Mondays that you folks spend with us. There's a lot to get through tonight, so I don't want to take up a large portion of this, but I did want to also add my mahalo to all of you who participated this past Friday in some way. And if not with one of these programs, with whatever you felt comfortable doing with your own families, in whatever way you folks remembered that day. I did also want to thank the volunteers, the organizers, the folks who put that together. A lot of work went into that behind the scenes to make sure we could honor those we've lost in the best way we could, and that was by bringing everyone together. What you didn't see up there because it wasn't a program that was sponsored by the county, but by your own community, was the Oban Festival, which I understand was a complete success. And again, it brought the community back together once more at a familiar, albeit changed location down at the Lahaina Jodo Mission. So again, thank you to the groups that put that together, the different organizations that combined to put that on, and your own community. I know that was also an uplifting event and a time for the community to be together once more. I have some folks to introduce. Am I introducing council member first and then them? I'm going to do them first and then council member. We're going to change the order a little bit. Okay. That's good. Since we don't have an agenda, we can do whatever we like, right? I'm going to introduce our first responders to come and give an update or answer questions. So I'd like to introduce 3 groups of people that are going to come forward. Our administrator from the Maui Emergency Management Agency, retired Battalion Chief Amos Lono Kailua Hewitt, our current fire chief, Chief Brad Ventura, and the captain of Lahaina Police Department, Maui Police Department Captain. Did Everett was here? Here he is. Everett, you was wondering, who was that guy I was talking about? Captain Everett Ferreira from Lahaina. And I believe Officer Cleghorn is going to join him during their presentation. So gentlemen, I don't know the order, but why don't you all come up, and I'll just hand the mic to, do we know who's going first? Chief? Thank you, Chief.
Hello, Mike Kako. Good evening, everybody. We've been asked tonight to just come and kind of give you an overview of the recent Kaanapali fire. We recognize that the fire was very near the 2-year mark, and so there was a lot of anxiety in the community. So we want to be here tonight to share with all of you how that response went, what we did to take care of that fire as a group, and how we're going to be doing that continuously moving forward. So I'll step out of the way there. A couple things I'll just cover is what our agency was responsible for. So the dispatch was about 11:30 in the morning, and every morning we're checking the weather to see how things are. That day we had variable winds. Variable winds means the winds are changing directions. They're light, but they're not always consistent in the same direction. So for those of you that were either watching the fire or heard about it, the fire was not running anywhere, but it was kind of just waving back and forth, and so that was creating some smoke going in different directions throughout that event. The response that we send to these fires includes the engine company that was out of Lahaina, as well as its tanker truck, and then the battalion chief. So those are the initial resources that are sent there. When those resources are deployed, we're also taking additional 911 calls, getting updates from Central. And before we really established a full command structure out there, the response units were upgraded to include Ladder 3 as well as Air 1. So that all happened as we were kind of headed to the scene and getting set up. Once we got on scene, we established unified command with the police department through our battalion chief. So the first on chief officer unifies with the highest rank police officer available, and then we created unified command. At that point, and looking at the fire, our goal was to upstaff our resources. So bear with me on this, is a long list, but this is what we brought in to take care of this fire on that particular day. We brought in 5 MFD engines, 3 MFD tankers, a brush truck, a second chief officer, a fire investigator, 6 tankers from Public Works, Highways Division, and private contractors. Additionally, 2 private dozers, an airport fire truck from the Kahului Airport, and 2 more aircraft. So we have basically all of this in our fleet and available. So if we need to up our resources at any particular time, we can. What we've been working on is making sure that we have a lot of our relief fleet, which isn't frontline apparatus, available for calls whenever we need surge capacity. So when we got on this scene, you guys might have seen some of the pictures in the media that we sent out. The primary concern was structure protection for us. So there was a warehouse and a small commercial area that we were trying to protect. So the engines focused on that area, and they focused on identifying, we call it the box. That's where we're keeping the fire within the box. So we identified the roads that we're going to make our stands at, and some of those roads could be dirt, they could be paved. And so that was identified early on in the incident, and then our crews worked to keep it inside that box. By the evening, the fire wasn't growing anymore, and we had the fire contained, but not 100%. So that whole night, we left crews on it throughout the evening, and then the following days, we continue to go back. Even though there's still some small piles of mulch, or there's big piles of rocks, that there might be some organic debris burning inside it, we're going back every day to monitor it, to kind of keep an eye on it, put more water on it, and kind of tend to it. So that's more or less what our response was on that particular fire. And just to give you an idea, right now we're running about 20 to 30 grass or brush fires per month, but a lot of them obviously aren't as big as this Kaanapali one and aren't as visible, but that's the pace that we're going at right now with our department and responding to fires. A lot of them, depending on where they are, the wind speed, the relative humidity, we're keeping a lot of them under a half an acre, but occasionally in the drier areas, they're getting a little bit bigger. So that was our response, and then I'm going to turn it over to police to kind of say what their roles are and how they worked with us in Unified Command.
Thank you, Chief. Evening. So in fires, police take a supportive role. Fire has command. So in this one, once the birds came into the zone, we had to shut down the roadways for safety. If they have to go over any roadway to grab water and do drops on the other side, we have to shut it down. So that's why we had road closures at Upper Lower and Pu'ukoli'i. We did open up alternative routes from Kaka'alaneo over to Pu'ukoli'i and through the gated community. All those gates were open and there's access for ingress and egress. For the evacuations, like how Chief was saying, the winds were variable. At one point it did change to a southerly direction and the fire started going towards the Kaanapali hillside area. So we did start evacuations from the highway up towards Kaanapali hillside, the middle road. It's not really shown on this map, but. And after they called, it was under control. We opened up the roadways, so our part was very small.
Aloha, mai kākou. So for the Maui Emergency Management Agency, just kind of want to share what we do, our roles, and then how it kind of played out in this particular situation. So the agency has a coordination and support function. It does not have a command and control function. What does that mean? It means that we don't have resources that we deploy on the ground to actually handle any kind of risk. Our function within the EOC is to support the incident commander and unified command in a coordinating and support function, like I said. Situational awareness, what we're doing is we're using all the tools available to us, which includes, Alert West cameras, as well as our own county cameras on county facilities. We're using maps, we're using flight trackers, we're using traffic maps, we're using weather reports to gather the situational awareness that supports unified command on the ground, and we are trying to stay ahead of potential impacts. We also use situational awareness is what unified command communicates over the radio. We also use, in that particular one, we use the community network. We have a West Maui community network that I can communicate with that played actually a critical role in that particular fire for situational awareness for us. And we were able to see a better view of that particular fire. Once again, we're coordinating peace, and therefore we coordinate with UC and IC, Incident Command and Unified Command. We do that primarily via a liaison that sits in the EOC. When we activate it to partial or full, we'll call up a liaison from various partners in this particular circumstance, fire and police. They come into the EOC, we communicate with them, they communicate with Unified Command, and that's how that information is shared. And then we attempt to make good decisions based on how that information is shared. We take recommendations from command. So if command says, hey, we need to evacuate this area, at least advise, or we do not need to advise. There are no threats. We do not need an evacuation. That's what we're going to follow their lead. Alerts and warnings, that is our responsibility for us. So we did use various platforms to advise. I encourage all of you to sign up for Genesis Protect and MEMA alerts. You can do so in the back. It is the fastest way that I can message you, and I recommend that you do so you can get the information the fastest. We did push on social media. We did do a press release as well. MEMA alerts and Genesis Protect went out, and that's kind of our role. We're looking at all of the tools and trying to decide what tool works the best. And so those tools do include the sirens. It does include emergency alert system and wireless emergency alerts. We chose not to use those tools at that particular time, but that is the role of the agency. Once again, public messaging and our role in evacuations is once again to message related to evacuations. Genesis Protect and MEMA alerts is the tool we're going to use. We want you to see what we're alerting on, and if you guys are familiar with Genesis Protect, you'll see whatever zone is either an advisory, warning, or order, and we'll message that way. Once again, we coordinate with the unified command through the liaison in the EOC to ensure that the routes in this particular circumstance, there are private roads and gates that needed to be open. We coordinated with the police department and was able to push that on Genesis Protect and through MEMA alerts and press release. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you for all that presentation. And just to let you know, this team will be here for Q&A afterwards, as well as one-on-one conversations you can have after. Councilmember Tamara Paulton said she sees her time tonight. But she's right there if you want to talk to her later on. She's in attendance tonight. Mahalo for being here. And now for Colonel Biggerstaff for an update on the debris transfer.
Aloha. Mahalo for being here tonight. Not a lot to report. Our debris mission is going very smoothly. We appreciate all of your support, continued support of the past 2 months. Last week we reached 53% complete, so we're on good progress. And again, if you know someone hauling trucks, hauling the debris, working for Alpha there on the site, they're doing exceptionally hard work, but good work. They're doing it respectfully and they're doing it carefully. So please thank them, give them a big mahalo because they're doing amazing work for us and you all, the community. So again, thank the people doing the work. We're very happy to be where we're at. Very smooth process so far. Thank you for your patience as we add these vehicles to the roads. But again, thank you. See you next month.
Thank you. Aloha everyone, my name is Sarah Pedroza. I am a disaster recovery coordinator with US EPA Region 9 based on Maui, and my colleague
Samantha Bishop, also from Region 9, and I'm an environmental engineer working on this project.
So tonight we want to provide an update on the Wahikuli Gravity Sewer project that impacts the Wahikuli House Lot subdivision. As you guys know, we took on this project last year, and it's funded by FEMA, trying to bring sewer service to the Wahikuli community to get the community that is on cesspools off of cesspools. We've provided a few updates in the past, but part of the project provided an environmental review, which was complete in July. If you go on maurecovers.org/wastewater, you can click on a link to get a copy of that environmental review report. After the environmental review, we go into the design of the gravity sewer system. You guys may have seen over the last few months that there was contractors out in the field doing topo and geotechnical surveys. Those are also now complete, and that takes us to the point where we are at 30% design. So we're going to show you some maps that provide more information on the lots of what we're looking at for some of the preliminary designs and what we got from those surveys. Next slide, please.
So as Sarah said, we got to 30% design, and our goal is to give you information as soon as we have it. We got this from working with our contractors on Monday. We're bringing it to you today, and the reason for that is we know you're rebuilding, you know you want this information. What we've been hearing a lot is if you're in this neighborhood, where should my lateral be? Where should I think about stubbing out on my property? And so we have this map where we propose the laterals are going to be based on the topographic survey. If you go to Maui Recovers, you can zoom into your lot. You can see where that lateral is. You can also come to our table. We've printed out a large-scale map. Talk to us about where you think your laterals should be. Give us some feedback even. We're able to iterate in this process. That's why we're here, to collect that feedback from you and change it if it works better for you someplace else. It's kind of hard to see up here, but when you do go online, you'll see that the lots are color-coded, either yellow, green, or red. The vast majority of them are green, which means that we think they're going to be able to connect via gravity. That is the easiest possible avenue. Some of them are going to be yellow, which means that there's a chance that we're going to have you connecting through an easement. Sarah's actually going to make calls to the dozen or so property owners that fall into that category in the coming weeks to talk to you about what it would mean to have your property be through an easement connection, and if you'd actually prefer the next option, which is a grinder pump in your backyard. Those are going to be the red lots on the map. That's less than 20% of the community. We're doing our best to minimize that because we know that it's not ideal. We'd like everyone to connect to gravity if that was the way that the earth was laying. Once we finish the 30% design and we get your feedback, we will actually be out here again in November to talk to you about 60% design. And then I think you wanted to say something about contractors.
Yes. So we contacted you in the past. Again, like Samantha mentioned, we'll be contacting you again for the properties that have the option to get more feedback. But we will also have contractors in the field basically looking at this design. This is our 30%, but basically validating it, doing some QA, QC, physically going out there, seeing if what they saw in the topo and surveys makes sense, if they see any other obstacles in the way, to see if they can refine some of those designs. And so that's why it's very critical at this point to also get your feedback as you're rebuilding, because you know your property better than anyone. There may be something subsurface. I know we've had members of the community mention they have rock walls or driveways or grandma's mango tree or a septic system. And we want to know that information, because if there is leeway, we can take it back and see if there is any, flexibility in that placement of that lateral. So there will be contractors in the field on Wednesday and Thursday next week. They will be in the public right-of-ways, maybe looking into some of the areas where there may be easements or where one of the lateral connections would go. So don't be alarmed. It is our contractors, not somebody random being Niele on your property. And then Samantha will give an overview of what you're seeing in this image.
So if you are from the Wahikuli neighborhood and you want to talk to us about your specific lot, we have these additional graphics to explain how grinder pumps work. We'd love to talk to you about them. I'm the EPA engineer. We also have our County Department of Environmental Management engineers here. So please come and talk to us about your individual lot, and we will happily explain everything that we can to you. Thank you.
One last thing, we do have Director Shane Agawa at Department of Environmental Management that is outside, but he'll be available for Q&A after the fact. I know many of you are familiar with him as well. So we'll all be at this table. There'll be a more visible picture so you can actually see some of those colors if you want to ask us questions while we're here in person. Mahalo everyone for your time.
Make sure to speak into the mic. You're going to run slides, or are they going to run slides? Yeah.
Aloha mai kako. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to pass the mic around, but we are representing the Disaster Case Management Program. My name is Angel Kamaka. I am a program administrator for the state's Disaster Case Management Program. I am employed with St. Vincent de Paul, who helps initiate the contract.
Aloha, my name is Kamaka Kanhai. I work with GEM, and I'm the Housing Specialist Supervisor, and we're a member of the State Disaster Case Management Program.
Aloha, my name is Danielle Drees. I'm the Executive Director of GEM Hawaii Pacific, and happy to be here supporting the new Housing Specialist Program with the Disaster Case Management Program.
Aloha, mai kako. My name is Paulo Fleafine. I'm the Resource Coordinator for the Disaster Case Management Program with St. Vincent de Paul.
We're going to open up with our remembrance ceremony that we did to honor the 2-year anniversary last week. This is something that we did at Laniopoko with a Hawaiian practitioner. It was a lei-making ceremony. If we can roll it. I've seen a lot of resilience come out of our Lahaina wildfire survivors, and since the day that this disaster started, I knew I wanted to be a part of the recovery efforts.
The Disaster Case Management Program was launched in November 2023. Today, our team came together with all of our partners to Lahaina to make lei, have a pule, and to go together to the memorial crosses. In the beginning, our focus was mostly on immediate service response, emergency services, and immediate sheltering. We've transitioned into meeting more long-term recovery needs, such as housing and long-term stability programs.
My role as a disaster case manager is to support, facilitate, accommodate, help my survivors to achieve their recovery plan. That's my vision, is to see them in their permanent housing so that they can start all over again.
Housing is the main need. It remains the main need. We were in a housing crisis before the fire, and the fire just exacerbated that issue. All of the things that are planned to commemorate the tragic fires in August of 2023, they definitely resemble hope and the resilience of this community.
We've served over 6,700 people. Currently, we have 4,000 individuals in our program, and we're not going anywhere. If you do not currently have a disaster case manager, please enroll by calling 211.
Thank you. We just want to honor you. This is the second year of the memorial and those who's passed. We are here to support as the disaster case management program so that you do not have to do it alone. If you do not already have a disaster case manager assigned to you, you can start the enrollment process by calling 211. For those survivors who are located on the mainland, we know some of us had to relocate. They're going to call 1-808-ASK-2000. That's 1-808-275-2000. If there's anybody on the live who's from the mainland who needs support, we will support you out there. If you know anybody in the mainland who's a disaster survivor who needs our support, provide them that number. The option is number 4. You're going to dial in number 4. They're going to give you prompts. It's number 4. If you already, sorry, that's really loud. If you already have a disaster case manager or a representative and you don't know who your representative is, you can inquire at the DR4724 email. There is our program administrators who will respond to you and get you resolution, whether it's connecting you to your disaster case manager representative or reopening your case or looking at it to get it reopened or reconsidered. You'll email the email there, dr4724maui@svdpdisaster.org. Next slide, please. So here's a layout of our, Here's a layout of our organizations. We have, in collaboration, coalition with the Disaster Case Management Program, we have Aloha House, Pacific Gateway Center, the program administrators who also provide disaster case managers, and Pacific Gateway Center, we have here today with us GEM. So DCMP has opened a new sector in our program. They are the housing specialists. So they have gone through rigorous training last week to provide specialized housing case management. We do recognize it, reiterating from the clip that it is our primary need for housing support. Should you need it, please call 211 or, thank you, the mainland phone number, or inquire in the email. Thank you.
So over 6,000 residents have been served at this time by the Disaster Case Management Program. $140 million worth of services have been provided through our case managers. And so far, we've reached 347 community members that have now successfully reached case closure. So that means they're in permanent housing, that they're financially in a stable place, and that they're on their way back to their road of recovery. So why sign up now? It's been 2 years, you know? So when you work with a case manager, the first thing that they're going to do is work with you to develop your recovery plan. After they develop their recovery plan and identifying what your needs are, they're going to access you into the resources that are currently available. So to urge you, to motivate you really to call that 211 and enroll, there is a program that will be closing on the 22nd of August. That's $1,500. That's going to help for rent, utility, food needs, or a gift card, whatever your current need is. But it's by referral only from a case manager. So if you haven't joined us, please join. If you have been out of touch with your case manager, please give them a call. You know? And recently, the governor did address during the second anniversary, pointing out once again the priority of housing. And so on that, I'm going to segue to Daniel, who is with Global Empowerment Mission.
Aloha, everybody. We are super excited to announce the new Housing Specialist Program through the Disaster Case Management Program. And many of you may know GEM already, as we've been with the DCMP for about 1.5 years. But also, if you were housed in the state DHS RAP program in an Airbnb, that would have also been through GEM. So we're here in the community and here to help long term. The goal of this program is really to work on a housing plan that is permanent. So we're looking at permanent housing solutions. As you know, and it's inevitable, FEMA direct lease, CTHA, those interim housing solutions will eventually come to an end. So we need to begin planning now for that inevitable reality. And so our team will be here to guide you through that process and help find long-term permanent housing solutions for you. And I have Kamaka here for my team.
So as our housing specialist team rolls out with our program, we're very excited to work with all of you on creating your individualized permanent housing plan. As the DCMs have offered you resources, and now you're getting to the point where your last remaining goal is permanent housing, that's where our team steps in and works to create a plan with you. So just as a reminder, if you don't currently have a state disaster case manager, call 211 to get enrolled. And the entire state DCMP is very excited to work with all of you and support you every step of the way. Thank you.
All right. Aloha, everyone. Thank you for all those presentations. I feel like we are the most informed community. You guys are. And it's amazing to me how you pay attention to what we're bringing, and you ask awesome questions. So we'll go into one more program. So to follow on the heels of what our disaster case managers just said, we know that housing is a really, really big deal. So the county's program, Ho'okumuho, is directed at the permanent solution. So we have 3 programs that we've launched. We're going to talk a little bit about those tonight. I'm going to bring up Jeannie to help me a little bit. I'm going to bring Patience over here in a little bit too to help answer questions, but let's run through it. So sort of our little tagline for Ho'okumuho is restoring community and building our future. It goes along with the theme of all of the restorative work that's going on in Lahaina. And you guys have heard me talk about this multiple times in multiple ways the last couple weeks, but we're just really excited to remind everyone why we're doing it. And it really is to just bring everyone home. So the 3 programs that we've launched as of Monday are the first-time homebuyer program. This program is really outside the box from what is typically done in a HUD program. So we came in with our action plan and we were like, how does this feel? And everybody was like, well, what about an opportunity for first-time home buyers? Because we had such a high percentage of renters. So that program is really geared towards helping folks become an owner. It does have stipulations. We'll talk about those later, but it's up to $600,000 to become an owner. The second program that we are launching is our single-family homeowner reconstruction. So if you owned your lot and your house was destroyed in the fire, you can get up to $1.2 million in assistance to rebuild. Again, all these programs have some strings attached, but they are meant to get you home. And then we have finally our single-family homeowner reimbursement program. That program was also, as we went through the action plan, a direct result of comments that we got during the action plan process. And really what we're trying to do here is, if you made it through and you did everything you could as a survivor to get home, and you've already done it, we can come in and help give you a reimbursement check to reduce your debt. So that's the 3 programs in a nutshell. And here's how you can apply. So I think I'm going to ask Jeannie to come up, if she can, and run through the rest of it. Yeah?
Aloha everyone, and mahalo for the opportunity to be here today. So as John led into, there are 3 different ways to submit an application. You can go online, the application portal is open, ho'okumuho.mauicounty.gov. You can click on the apply button and submit an application there. You can also download the mobile app, either on the Apple Store, Apple App Store, or the Google Play Store. So the mobile app is out there, super simple, works really good on your phone. If you're a person who likes to take pictures of documents with your phone, you can upload them right then and there using that photo feature as well. And you can also visit one of the intake centers. So there are some online appointments available for either Lahaina Gateway or the Kako'o Maui in Kahului. You can walk in or you can schedule an appointment online. We also have a couple of awesome team members here today. So if you are interested in submitting an application or just learning more information, we can do all that right here with you today as well. That's what the mobile app looks like. It's pretty simple. And we have an awesome picture from day 1 of the opening for the outreach centers. And that's a picture of what the website looks like. All right, so to date, as of a little bit earlier this morning, we've received 446 total applications. 59 of those for a single-family homeowner reconstruction program, 32 for the single-family homeowner reimbursement program, and a whopping 355 for first-time homebuyers. So to date, over the last 2 days, we've had 150 plus walk-ins between the 2 centers. So again, you can walk in anytime. There's wonderful, lovely faces waiting to greet you, and we have case managers or program specialists that are working with folks and can be available for you.
We also have a pre-enrollment form. So I think we talked a little bit about this during the webinar session on Saturday, if you were able to attend that. But if there's not a program up here, one of these 3 programs doesn't fit your recovery needs, the county still wants to hear about that. So the way that you can submit that information is through a pre-enrollment form. Again, we can do those right here with you today, or you can go online and submit that pre-enrollment form. It's not an application, but it's providing additional information so the county can continue to evaluate the needs of all of you. And then we have about 10 cases assigned per case manager. Those cases are actively being reviewed and worked. I believe we have about 1 case that's ready even to move into eligibility already. So we're making good progress. All right, so definitely want to call out, the first day that applications opened, there were some blank screens that were showing up when people submitted. We do have those resolved, so if you have any concerns about that, we're happy to talk through it, check to make sure that your application got submitted for you. We can make sure that that's in there and that you have an application ready to be reviewed. The appointment slots have filled up quickly, but we are opening appointment slots every day. The team is actively working with folks that have appointments scheduled out in the future to see if we can get them in sooner, or calling and addressing their concerns over the phone rather than having to have them come in. So making progress on that end. If you have any challenges or issues, always feel free to call the centers as well. We do have a phone number. You can reach out if you're having challenges submitting an online application. All right, so you can scan that QR code there to access the website right now. Like I said, you can download the mobile application and do an app right now if you want, or we can help you over at the tables after the meeting.
Thanks, Jeannie. Yeah, what an awesome start to these programs. It is our favorite time of the night. And let's get rolling with our Q&A. Yes, sir. Right down front. Do you have a mic? I'm sorry. Yeah. Let's make sure we can hear the questions, and if we can't hear them, I'll repeat the question.
Hello? What's the current allocation for this program? Dollars out.
Overall for housing, it's $900 million. But for these 3 programs I'm going to let her recite it because I don't want to say it incorrectly.
$288 million for reconstruction, currently $10 million set aside for reimbursement, and $92.5 million for home buyer assistance.
Jeannie, you might as well stay here. I have too many numbers in my head. Okay, other questions?
Over here.
Okay, Morris. Oh, Jeremy. Here we go.
Of the grant money, does that reimbursement or anything, is that considered double dipping if we have a SBA loan?
I'll let Jeannie answer, but go ahead.
All right, so an SBA loan is considered a duplication of benefits because it's a subsidized loan through the federal government. That is something that is specified in the HUD guidelines for this funding source and cannot be changed.
Second question is, what happens to all this funding that if by any chance, some crazy reason, not enough people qualify to use up all the funds? I want to know where this money goes to at that point.
The money that's allocated to the housing programs will stay in the housing programs. So if for some crazy reason we weren't able to spend it all in one of the programs, then we would reallocate it and make a program that would help more people in housing. I mean, the money came for housing, so we're going to keep using it for housing.
So just to be clear, the $400,000 would have been free money, but early on everybody forced us or suggested it would be a better idea to get an SBA at 2.5% interest. So now I got to pay interest on money that was suggested by FEMA, USACE, and everybody else to go get. And now I don't qualify for free $400,000, the same amount of money that SBA went up grant me. So I'm getting screwed without lube this time again.
Well, the DR money wasn't available at the time that those programs came out, but thank you for your comment. Yeah. You want to add something?
If I can just add a clarifying thing, just because you received SBA does not mean that you're ineligible. It just means that the amount of funding you could receive may be reduced. So, for example, if you had $1 million reconstruction expense and $400,000 came from the SBA and you financed the rest of it yourself through a private loan or took out of your retirement or whatever it may be, you may still be eligible for that portion that was a private loan or what you took out of your retirement. So, still, if you had additional funding above and beyond the SBA loan that was used for the reconstruction, submit an application so that we can take a look and see if you might be eligible for some assistance.
Yeah, and just to say that another way, the DR can fill all the gaps in your particular financial situation. So if you can show the gap outside of the SBA loan, then that would be eligible.
One more question.
Okay.
So if you have insurance that, like whatever your insurance gave you, that would be considered duplication of funds, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so if that you can't, so anything less than or extra that you had to pay, then that you can apply for. Okay.
That's correct.
Okay. Two over here.
Oh, over here, I'm sorry.
Hello. I don't want to be negative, and I'm not. I appreciate everything that you guys are doing. I understand that the restraints. I just ask a favor. With this elemental P monies, can you please stop saying it's for Lahaina residents who lost to go back home? Because all of these programs is for housing, and anybody can apply. It's not just for the people who lost. Housing, and you have to. You cannot just say it's for Lahaina people and the residents that lived in Lahaina. You guys have to say it's to repopulate, rehouse, give opportunities to put houses in Lahaina, but it's not exactly for the residents who lived here and need help, because most of us will not qualify, and that's why Jeremy is asking where the money's going, and it's going for housing. Whether it be in Lahaina, if we can't spend it all in Lahaina, it will be someplace else. But stop saying it's for the Lahaina residents who's lost, because a lot of us, I just saw the news where the renters are saying it's not for them, and as a homeowner, I don't qualify either. I can apply, I could be one of the 56 or whatever who walked in, but I know I'm not gonna get it at the end. So I just would, for my mental health, make it seem like I don't have a chance. So just say it's for housing, please.
Okay. Just to clarify though, the new homeowner opportunity program is for if you lived in the area that was part of the disaster. So that will be given preference in that program. And then the other two programs, you have to be an owner in the area to even start to qualify. So I understand what you're saying, and we'll be careful with our words. Thank you.
Over here.
Mahalo, Morris. You guys can take a break. I don't have one for you. So my first question, I think, is for Four Leaf and planning. I have a couple folks that I've encountered recently, and I don't think this is just recent. I think we've all seen quite a bit of this. But one thing that, and I tried to get more specifics, like just maybe some line items, whatever, but I have a lot of people that are saying, you know, they keep changing the rules. And maybe that's not true anymore, but I think for where people are or have been in the process, that it is true for them. So if you could maybe just touch on that. I mean, the specifics that I was able to get was, so we had our plans drawn up by the architect, and then there was a change in how close things could be to the edge of the property. And so then we were, I think it maybe trees, like shrubbery, I'm not actually sure. But like, just if you could speak to that, I tried to get more solids, but I think, you know, we're all kind of just, it's hard to wrap your head around all that stuff. Thanks, Anna.
We'll ask our Deputy Director of Planning to come and ask clarifying questions if you need to, yeah?
I'll do my best to address the question, and we can certainly talk after about specifics if you want to give me a TMK or property, what have you. I'll go over some of the changes that happened. Council passed the nonconformities bill to expand what could be rebuilt after the disaster. So that was a change. So people that may have had setbacks that went all the way up to their property line. Typically, before that bill passed, they wouldn't be able to rebuild that. So that bill allowed them to be able to prove that, yes, I was non-conforming. Please let me have my setback back. Hopefully that makes sense. So that was a change. Last time I came here, I spoke about the architectural guidelines. And so that was a change in terms of the State Historic Preservation Division within the Department of Land and Natural Resources would do the architectural review, and they would make recommendations. And as of a April 14th, 2025 MOU, the County of Maui Planning Department took over that review, and we made those suggestions requirements. And so that was a change via MOU. So those are some of the changes that have happened, and we keep changing the process. You know, we try to go through the public process, so we are trying to further clarify those architectural guidelines, for instance, through the Cultural Resources Commission, and so those are up for public hearing next month, and so tune in for that. And hopefully that gives some context. I don't mean to not answer your question or dodge it, but those are some of the changes that might be referred to.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. And I think the county taking over from SHPD was really good for all of us. So thank you. I think we all know the wait times on that. My other ones are for the DCMP and or GEM. So what is the process for the transfer of cases from organizations who have left the disaster case management program?
Thank you. So we had 2 organizations demobilized from our program back in June and July. All of those cases have been reassigned to other organizations, and if you are a client or you know someone who is a client that is having trouble getting contact with their new case manager, that email that was put up above is the best way to go about it so that you don't have to go through 211.
Okay, so email is the best way if they haven't been contacted?
Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. And then my other question is, who gets assistance from this GEM, this new housing program? And what I mean by that is that, you know, I have individuals who, as far as they're concerned, their only need is housing. And that's been the case. And so when do they get put in front of you as it's their turn or whatever? Because that's really like where I'm stuck with most people.
And that's a lot of people's situation. Once the client does determine that for themselves and it is identified that that is the client's only need, we will go ahead and double check it, go through the verification, and start the transfer process into a housing specialist.
Okay, thank you. Do you have someone who has, I don't want to say resources about housing, because we all kind of know where that's at, but just in terms of, you know, like I do have some folks who have some like light other needs, but like overall, the thing that we've been working on for months and months is housing, and there aren't options. And so how can we kind of deal with that congruently? And I apologize. Thank you so much.
So I just want to make it clear that the determination for when a client is ready for a housing specialist is made internally in the program. It's not made by the client. So like you mentioned, cases that housing is their primary need but might have some other additional needs would probably remain with the disaster case manager. But our disaster case managers have access to all of the same housing resources and can help create a permanent housing plan, as well as our housing specialists. Our housing specialists program is specifically for clients that have no additional needs. That way they can focus on that and move them through the pipeline quicker. That way clients who do have additional needs can be managed by a case manager, and that way there's no bottlenecks on the case management side.
The email that you're looking for is dr4724maui@svdpdisaster.org if you wanted to get back into contact with the program representative. And I think one of your other questions is, do we have housing resources? It's per every individual. The housing resource that's going to be provided for one individual who may be, for hypothetical reasons, low income will be different from somebody else's referrals to housing resources. So it's really a case by case, but we do have viable referrals where we can support clients and their permanent housings.
Perfect. So a couple.
Sorry. Okay, where am I looking? Okay.
Hi, John.
It's hot in here tonight. Yeah, okay. Kaliko.
A couple things. If I have an SBA loan and I'm interested in ho'okumuho, and I haven't yet started to pay my SBA loan, and I haven't used all of the SBA loan, could I potentially decrease my SBA loan and also still apply for the ho'okumuho? Can I do that same time?
I would suggest that you come in and talk to a program specialist with Ho'okumuho for that specific question. Just so everyone is clear, once the funds have been awarded, the amount awarded that is currently available to you is considered the duplication. Any funds from the SBA that have been canceled or withdrawn are not considered a duplication, but definitely talk to your program specialist about your individual case.
Okay, so if I was originally given 574, I didn't use it. I now signed my new note of 116. So that balance, I can go and apply at ho'okumuho, correct?
I would definitely have your program specialist take a look at it for you.
One more thing. If I'm in the DCMP program and I have a case manager there, I apply for ho'okumuho, I get a case manager here. Do I now have two or can I have one?
Yes, so we are shifting the narrative a little bit to refer to the Ho'okumuho team as program specialists. So they are only going to be processing your application and completing intake and eligibility for this program. If you have other needs like, need access to food or other things that you're working with a disaster case manager on, you want to stick with that one as well. I did bring this up in the webinars, but I'll say it again. If you want your case manager that you may be working with outside of Ho'okumuho to work with the program specialist, you can designate them as a communication designee within your application. If you already submitted your application, we can update that communication designee. So those case managers can talk to each other and then take some of that burden off of you.
So we have program specialists. We don't have case managers under Ho'okumuho. We'll just make that distinction for everybody so we don't mess everybody up. Yep.
So it's hopefully simple. When you sign up for Ho'okumuho, there will be the checkbox that you will allow a case manager to receive and send information on your behalf as well. So make sure that you talk with your case manager and have that box checked.
Any more questions on that one? It's a really important point, but go ahead.
So, Chief, hopefully this is a simple question. Why the difference in limits between each program? I mean, that's a big difference between 1.2 for rebuild and then 400,000 for reimbursement. I think a lot of us that are going through the reimbursement process probably spent more than 400,000.
Yeah, the reimbursement program was an add-on program to start with. That's something that we had to go back to HUD after the action plan. And then when we looked at the numbers and the gap that's likely to come from that program, it was around the 400,000 number. So you know, the 1.2 million number is really meant for those, and we've talked about this many times in here, those people that are in the community that really don't even know how to start to get to a house. A lot of people in the reimbursement program had some means to get to a house, and then this program is meant to fill that gap. So that's basically how it was chosen. Jeannie mentioned a $10 million set aside for the reimbursement program. If the reimbursement program gets more than the $10 million set aside, we will look carefully at how to expand that to meet the reimbursement overall, if that's the need in the community. Thank you for that question.
One more.
Well, okay, John, you might be able to answer this, but Anna, you also. I had an online phone meeting with you, Anna, and we discussed what was historically relevant, if you're in that category where you have to comply with this new level of review. My concern is there any picture representation, because what was sent to me was words that it should be historically appropriate, and I kind of laugh because that would be a grass house, as we know, but that's not going to fit with a building that I could build. So is there any pictures that we could see for when we do turn in a permit, or anything visual besides the words?
Yes, so thank you. And I'm happy to have a sit down with you in person, as promised. And the document I did send you, and happy to bring in our experts. But yes, so for the National Historic Landmark District, there are reference images, and I'm happy to share those with you. They are located in the West Maui Community Plan as adopted in 2022.
Thanks. Thank you.
Question.
Yeah. You ready for me? This is also for planning. Sorry to take away from the great questions about Ho'okumu. I also, just to clarify, I am on duty, but I'm speaking as a resident. I live in the National Historic District, and I'm also concerned about this, the historical view. It's very hazy and very undefined, and I just want to have one question is, there seems to be an aversion to standing seam roofs. I don't understand why in a town that just burned down we wouldn't allow one of the most fireproof roofs available. I don't understand why that's a problem. There's lots of issues I have with this review. It's not defined, there's no pictures, nobody knows about it. Everybody's designing houses and then being told they can't build those houses. But my one just easy, simple question is, why couldn't we have the most fireproof option?
So the National Historic Landmark District Design Guidelines were obviously adopted prior to this disaster. And so that is why we're going through the Cultural Resources Commission to adopt better fire materials, recognize fire-resistant building types, and so without overstepping on what is established, we're trying to navigate that and try to get to the goal of fire-resistant materials and building design. So that is part of why we're going through the Cultural Resources Commission. But I can address more directly that we are trying to navigate training for leave to take over those reviews and standardize it, and we really feel as though adopting new streamlined, clear guidelines through the CRC is the appropriate route. And so that's why it's taking a while, but we are actively working to it as we speak.
I just want to express the community's frustration. Your description of what we're trying to aim at is like this, and it takes a year to design a house, and you guys are making up the rules as we go along, so it's impossible to hit.
I totally hear that feedback, and we are trying to be responsive to it and navigate the guidelines that we have adopted. And so, but we're happy to do what we can to consult with you and answer your questions.
The last question is, since it's a National Historic Landmark District, which period of history are we talking about?
There are several that are recognized.
Well, which ones? Can you give me a number?
There's Victorian, Plantation.
Years.
Oh, years. I'm bad at years. We go by design type and style.
My subdivision was built in the 70s, and you guys are telling me to build houses that were designed in the 50s.
Yes. And
well, I agree with that too, but I just, we need some clear definitions so that we have something that we're aiming for.
I could not agree more.
Okay.
Okay, over here, John.
Okay, let's go.
Thank you, Morris. Hi, John.
Hi.
I would like to request, maybe even urge, Ho'okumuho program to come back with an answer on the SBA loan, building on Jeremy and Kaliko's question. There's potentially hundreds of us owner-occupiers who have yet to build, who maybe were approved for SBA, have not taken a draw yet. And rather than bombard Kako'o Maui with 100 of us asking the same question, maybe you can get that defined and then come back to the community, because the real sticking point, we're all very grateful that SBA is an option for us and that we can take out a loan for 2.5%. But the sticking point for the community is that we should not have to go into debt to replace the home that we had. And so if there is an opportunity to build this home without going into debt, which means potentially never taking a draw on SBA and saying, thank you very much, but please kick rocks, we would love to know that, because we don't want to get stuck in a situation where we have to draw on that loan, and then you guys come back later on having figured it out and we didn't have to draw on it. So if you could not make us go to Kako'o and come back to the community with a community answer so we can all hear it, I think a lot of us would be grateful for that.
Thank you for that. I mean, we can definitely lay out these frequently asked questions in a detailed way so that we can help you process the question and the answer per the code. And then, everybody's different, so we definitely want to make sure that you still. Well, I guess what I want everyone to hear is, don't let that stop you from coming and applying. And we do have a fourth box. So we get the 3 programs, but we have a fourth box on the program that says, I have a different situation, and at least fill out the questionnaire. You can do it online. You don't even have to come in, just to let us know the exact situation that you're in so that we can help better answer that question for the whole community. I totally agree. We don't want to keep going back and forth with this, and we want to provide you as much information as you can so that you can take advantage of a grant, not a loan. Because what we're bringing is a grant, not a loan. And I would love to help you guys get to that point. Thank you for that.
So I just want to big mahalo to 2 different people today. One of it is to the fire department for offering the fire recruitment class that you just did with Ho'omau. That is a much, much needed thing that we needed here on Maui. And it was also brought up that there was other types of programs like that on the table for the the police department, lifeguard, and EMS. And if the money came from the county or the donations or whatever, that was a well-spent program. And I want to thank you guys for that. And I hope to see that more of that happens in our community for our kids, especially to retain and keep staff here. The other one is to Anna. Dear Anna, I just want to mahalo you for being the one to call me and have the hard conversations with me over the National Historic District and the Malibu Barbie houses. I just want to say thank you. And I appreciate your time and your clarification. I know we went round and round. Unfortunately, yes, there are going to be Malibu Barbie houses built down there that have passed people. So I'm sorry to say that, but I just want to thank you, Anna, for letting me know what was coming. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Anna's awesome. Who am I missing?
One
okay.
more.
And we have just a few more questions. We've been going on a while, but go ahead. Thank you.
I have several, and there are different departments. So one is, I just have to say, the county was awesome. I live in the Kahua Mill Camp, and they did specific meetings for us to kind of help us so we could move forward. And I know Waihakuli neighborhoods have done ones so they kind of knew where their septic system was situation. So I'm wondering if maybe that would be a good thing to do with the National Historic District, is have specific meetings just for that group with slides and what they actually can do, and so that they can move forward, because I know that helped us a lot and we appreciate it. So that's one suggestion. For housing, I'm wondering, and because no one's ever talked about it, but Lahaina Surf made it through the fire. It probably needs a lot of rehabbing, but are they going to work on getting that? Because that would be a lot of instant housing for our community that lost rental. So what's happening with that? And in our neighborhood up Lahaina Luna, there was a senior housing that burned down, but I'm not seeing the county working towards getting that up. And when you see how quickly that 4-story apartment complex is going up, it makes you think that why aren't we building the senior housing back? Why aren't we getting Lahaina Surf back? Because that would house a lot of our community that lost housing there.
Okay, so I'll answer your question generally. So we launched these 3 programs. There's also a multifamily reconstruction program that's coming too. So all those projects, like Lahaina Surf, Front Street Apartments, and others, have some eligibility for some of the DR funding. It's really similar, just conceptually, to a homeowner where you lost your home and you have a gap. So they all have insurance and they all have eligibility with FEMA too, and then they'll have a gap. And then, so we'll help them with that gap. We're not managing those projects, but we'd be happy to, as we have information from the departments that are running those, bring those back and give you a status update on those projects, either from the state or from the county, or if it's privately held. Thank you for that.
Another category is I really appreciated on the day of the fire all the notices that came through the phone so that we kind of knew how to plan our day and not to go out on the road and all that. I was wondering though, like with the tsunami, we didn't have that kind of update, and could MEMA or some of these organizations that are for emergency be a little more proactive with the tsunami in addition to the fire? Just because it would be nice to know, like we had people sheltering at our place where we're renting and they didn't know when they could go back. So it would have been nice just to get updates, maybe every half hour, just going, is it okay to go back? Or, because not everybody had access to TV or radio. And then also enforcement of the off-street parking, because our neighborhoods are starting to be built back, and some of the bigger houses with limited parking, we're already seeing on-street parking. And I think if you had enforcement happening right now, and their logic might be, well, there's nobody in the neighborhood, but if you set that precedent, I think it would help people building to know that you are going to enforce it, and also make us feel safer who are moving. And then my final one is I don't know who to ask this to, but Spectrum to come back, because we have renters that are back in the burn zone now. We're rebuilt, and they want Spectrum, and we're having a hard time getting that. And we're in a neighborhood where there's quite a few houses in, so that it would justify. So I don't know who to ask that to, but so the tsunami warnings, the off-street parking enforcement, Spectrum, and that's it. Thank you.
Start with Amos real quick on the tsunami warnings, and I'll do my best to remember the rest of that and answer.
Oh, yes. We had sent out multiple press releases. We used Genesis Protect to message the evacuation areas, zones as well with MEMA alerts and the public sirens. But definitely we look to improve messaging if we think that messaging wasn't effective enough. EAS and we used every single platform that was available to us, every single one. So I'm not sure if you were connected at all, whether it was phone, TV, or radio, but every single platform was used throughout the whole process. But we are always looking to improve how we send out messaging.
Okay. Thank you. So thanks, Amos. I'm sure having Spectrum would help for that. The question would be the parking one. So we're going to come back and give a presentation on the strategy for parking comprehensively. That's something that my staff's working on right now. As far as enforcement today goes, I mean, we have police here today. They can only enforce on places where they have signs. So that's actually part of the strategy. So if you are seeing parking issues that don't have signage, that's a problem right now, and that's something you can tell us about. We know about it, but if it's something like that, please let us know. The county has a standard way to take input like that. It's called ComConnect or See-Click-Fix. We haven't talked much about that in here, but we've had that for years. Those requests will go directly to Public Works and police to add a sign if you need a sign, and that's the problem. So I can offer that now. Signage is part of that long-term strategy for parking, along with enforcement, but we'll come back and talk about that one comprehensively, but thank you for that comment. What was, Spectrum, yeah, I was joking about Spectrum, but you know, that's real. We can advocate for you to bring those services just at the utility level, so we can do that. The individual service requests will need to go in, and then they obviously have to run the infrastructure to your house, and we can ask them to come in and give an update. Happy to do that when they're willing to do so. Anything else? Okay, I'll do one more question, and then it's very hot in here, and we'll let you guys break to the tables. Go ahead.
Got a real quick one. Is there, I accidentally found out that there is a group that have been paid to come in and look at our lot and say, these are your lines and stuff like that. Is that a program that's out there?
Like a survey program?
Yeah, the survey program.
Yes, there is a survey program that's up and running. One of them is through Hawaii Community Lending, and HCF has sponsored some other surveys, so we can get you the details on that and make sure that we point you to the right place online.
Well, the thing that concerns me is that they did a press, say they were excited that they got to 90 lots so far. At this rate, I won't be able to permit my house for 3 years. I own a lot, I pay taxes on it, it shows you exactly where the lot is, and now we have to have somebody else come back and say, oh yeah, what you're paying taxes on is right? I don't understand.
No, it's not for tax purposes. It's to help. The whole point of that program was to help the design process. So the engineers that do the house lot design and the architects both, they need to understand exactly where the property line is, and they need to understand exactly how the ground works on that property in order to make a design that's permittable through the county. So survey's the building block of all that. That's why they do that. So sometimes they'll find easements on the property that you didn't know about. Sometimes there's other encumbrances on a property from your neighbor. You never know until you do the survey. And we had a lot of older. If you're in a newer development, it's probably not a big deal. But if it was designed for the older areas of town that had really lost all of their sense of boundary. So you may need it, you may not need it, but that's why the program exists. If you do, I think it's still available. Well, let's do it on the mic so everybody can hear. Well, the people online can't hear you. Yeah. And then I'll turn it to the mayor after that.
I know it's the last one. Thank you, Mayor, for giving me your time. I had a situation, and I've talked about it before at meetings. People recognize me. Army Corps engineer, they did a good job cleaning out my lot, but they took like 10 to 15 truckloads of dirt that I have to refill. And I'm starting from scratch. Don't even have enough money. My insurance company wants to freaking readdress anything I get from the settlement for the wildfire case. So they're putting a lien on my house, and they haven't even filed it legally. And they turn around and say, we're going to take the money back from you. So I don't have enough money to put the dirt back. I probably dig it up, but at my age, I can't dig up money like I used to when I was young, like all you other guys. I'll tell you what, right now, I'm going to rebuild. I probably won't even live to see it come to fruition. But I need to get that lot filled up with the dirt that they took out. And I love the job they did, but they wrecked all my lateral and all my infrastructure for my sewage. I can replace that now, you know, and no one's perfect. But the thing about it is I talked about this before, and I think I should get reimbursed for that dirt to start where everyone else you can start now with a level project, you know? That dirt, that infrastructure, get it back up to 15 truckloads. It's going to cost me money. And I don't want to spend that money. I'm sorry, but I'm not being rude or selfish. But I think it's just right. Mahalo.
Thank you. Yeah, you're the boss. Oh, no. So I thought you said I want to answer. No, thank you for that feedback. I know that we did have programs, and I'll have to check into this, and I'll ask my team to do so to help people with the very problem that you're describing. It's not a county program, but there were some programs out there that were helping individuals with that program. And I'll also say that if you even, I'm just going to, one more pitch, if you even think you might be qualified for the Ho'okumuho, please come in and see if we can help you. I'd appreciate that. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to our mayor to close out the night. We're not going to go away. If you have individual questions, you see all of the yellow tables, or everybody's labeled well, or has a red shirt on, but you know who to ask. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, John. Thank you, everybody. You know, we ask a lot of you folks to come here every month, so I appreciate that you folks take the time, the effort. We're trying to answer all your questions. Please come up. I did want to comment on a couple that were mentioned, and this is what I want to say to everybody who took out an SBA loan. Everybody who's in that category. Please be sure before you give up on that loan that you qualify to receive the grant money. Because it would be horrible for you to give up that and find out you don't qualify financially to get that. So I just want to be sure. I totally understand, and I would do the same thing if I was every one of you in that situation. But I really urge you, because we don't want you to make a bad decision or worse decision. I'm not saying any of those are bad. I'm just saying that please be sure and check with our staff to make sure that you actually can get that money, then release that other one. And I think you were all going to do that anyway, but I just wanted to say that to anyone who felt like there was a time constraint. I want to say something to people who are in the National Historic District. There are standards right now. We don't want you to have to follow those standards. The reason we're changing them is so that they do fit or find a pathway for you to get to where you need to go. We don't love those old ones either, like a lot of you have pointed out, but that's what was on the books before we lost the entire town. That was the standard. That is the current standard. what Anna is trying to do with planning and the commission and the Cultural Resource Commission is to make it, bring it into today's standards, and I don't mean today's standards as being modern, but I mean using the material and the designs that exist so that it can come back without having to try to be something unrealistic. I just wanted to say that, and I know Anna didn't say that on her own behalf, but that's precisely the reason. Some of the rules, we are trying to help make pathways, whether you're a commercial business or residential, because you are stuck in some of these rules that were there that did not anticipate this happening to an entire town. And so we're having to try to shift that too so that we can make it work for everybody. We're not trying to make you jump through a bunch of hoops, fill out applications, stand in lines, wait to hear no. That's not what we're trying to do. And it may seem that way sometimes, and I apologize if that is happening to you. But that is not what we're trying to do. Everybody that comes here every week, every month, have the same plan in mind, get you guys home. And if we can help you financially, I need to make a comment also about the reimbursement amount. They don't even have this program in HUD. We made that program. That's why we have one now. And the $400,000 is also helping us spread it to many more families that can take advantage. And she walked in late. I forgot to introduce Lori DeGama, who walked in late in the back. She think I never see her. And lastly, seriously, I appreciate you folks using the terms ho'okumuho. That was a decision made through our Pakai partners and our team, because we didn't think anybody wanted to keep saying CDBG-DR, CDBG-DR. Seriously. But now, I heard Kekoa tonight, we should have just called them elemental P. Because that thing would just flow off your tongue, Kekoa. But it is ho'okumuho. It is what some people refer to as the DR or the CDBG-DR. If you go ho'okumuho, it's these programs, and as long as we can extend the funds, and we will try to do that too, we'll try to reach as many of you as possible. Thank you folks for being here tonight. Aloha.